Joining us is a man who has a very, very busy schedule, but yet he makes times to link with us right here on The Observer. He's no stranger. Let me say a special good evening to Oropouche East MP, Dr. Roodal Moonilal. Pleasant good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, Mikey, and good evening to all your listeners.
And viewers
And
as well.
congratulations on a great job. It is a pleasure to be with you.
Always a pleasure to have you on. You said that they should more against the extortion of businesses. You
Sure.
said that you called for a new unit in the police service to curb extortion of businesses by criminal gangs and for tough new laws. And I want to agree with you. Let me start by saying I want to agree with you because, you know, in America, when they start looking at some of these cases, some people say it's all based on profiling. But what do we profile here as far as you see 3 or 4 men in the middle of the day going about in a vehicle? I mean, is it that they don't want to touch really and truly the core of these issues because the underlying is so many social problems as far as unemployment and what have you? You're breaking up a bit.
Yeah, the first is, of course, the economy. The economy has collapsed, and that has led to rampant poverty and unemployment, and alienation of large groups of persons, particularly in disadvantaged and underprivileged communities, what we refer to as hotspots and so on. And the economic collapse is a significant issue because economic growth and activity and opportunity, historically, I mean, across the world, it helps with inclusion and participation in the economy, and that reduces crime. And that has been a significant issue here.
Yeah, according to criminologist Dr. Derek Shady, extortion hurt businesses by deterring investment and customers and devastated communities and the wider society.
Correct. But what is happening is a new format of extortion. While in the Larceny Act, which is statute, of course, they speak of demanding money by menace. There's actually an offense called demanding money by menace. That is an old colonial type of, offense, which carries a lesser penalty. But today we are seeing very sophisticated use of technology, use of social media platforms and so on to extort, to demand money by extortion. And it's being done, of course, by members of particular gangs and so on. And there's a need to create a unit in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service that deals with extortion by gangs. And they need, of course, to get the support of the Parliament to have proper laws passed with stiff prison sentences and so on to deal with this issue of extortion by gangs against business persons, because colonial legislation is really for anybody who goes into a parlor or something and threaten someone and demand their money and so on. It's not meant for really this sophisticated and modern and technology-driven era. So we need to update the law, and that has been the position of the UNC, and that has been the position I have articulated.
Now, when you talk about extortion, there's also this issue of home invasions. And
of
that
course,
in itself...
I mean, it's related. Now, what we have had is the collapse of the economy and the collapse of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. This country is by and large unpatrolled and by and large unpoliced. So that what has happened, and I saw it early and I had raised a red flag, Mikey, when criminal elements and bandits and so on were stealing copper wire from every, lamppost in the country and every TTP, postal lamppost and so on in the country. I said the country was unpatrolled.
Yeah, but when you look at it too, Dr. Moonilal, many people are saying if you look at the demographics, is it that there are certain ethnicities that seem to be the target when it comes to these things, or it's just a matter of any source target?
I will not say that, because, I mean, that is an easy and convenient way to the situation. Groups of people who are propertied. There are groups of people who own business. There are a group of people who you can extort from. I mean, you can extort from people who don't have a dime in the pocket. So that is not an issue to me, Mikey. It's really not an issue of race. in that sense, is that there are groups of the people in the country who are propertied and who are into business, and then you extort from people who have. So it is a crime against the society, it's a crime against citizens, and we ought not to, put any other blinker on that issue. This is a very serious matter affecting businesses. Now, a lot of businessmen and so on, they sell out their business, or depending on the business, they migrate to other countries and manage their business by Zoom and other, technological platforms and so on. And they are not in Trinidad and Tobago, and their families are not here, but they manage their business from elsewhere. That is where we have reached now, so that the business community is reeling under this pressure. And business persons, professional persons, as you know, quite recently, a very prominent lawyer, senior counselor, former senator, was the victim of a home invasion. People invade the home because there are no patrols, there are no, policing of the society that prevents that. If we had sufficient patrols, the use of the joint patrols between the defense force and the police, the community comfort patrols, which we established to work with what was called the National Operations Center under former Minister Gary Griffith. If we had that operationalized today, and intensify or copper wire or whatever they were thieving, then
Go ahead.
patrolled.
Yeah, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yes, the society is unpatrolled, and that is the issue. It has to do with the leadership of the Ministry of National Security. You have Minister Hines, who has been, indisputably, the worst Minister of National Security in the country's history.
You also put a figure on as far as 30,000 per month, and it's a demand for protection from these very said criminals. But again, we're not hearing much coming out from the TTPS on these matters. We're losing you there a bit. I don't know if you can hear. Go ahead. All right, see if we can adjust that. Take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Looking for top quality and affordable hardware supplies? Then look no further than Midland Hardware, number 97 Eastern Main Road, Arouca. We stock a wide range of tools, water tanks, blocks, lumber, steel, and everything you need for your home and business project. Check out our new display of steel windows and assorted designs of metal curtain rods. Midland also stockpiles sand, gravel, topsoil, and more. We have a variety of kitchen faucets, face basins, and toilets.
Yeah, which Go right ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and I'm saying the collapse of the Strategic Services Agency, which has been the subject of a witch hunt by the Prime Minister Rowley and Minister Hines, really underscore that the national security infrastructure has collapsed, because the police as a major stakeholder and other law enforcement agencies depend on intelligence. And if they have no source of intelligence in terms of, criminal elements and so on to drive investigations, inquiries and so on, then we have all but collapsed. And we are witnessing that now with the dismissal of persons of the SSA, the former director and so on, and those matters will come to the fore. But they also reflect the collapse of the national security infrastructure.
As well as Dr. Moonilal, it seems that giving this public perception that the authorities are more concerned about those with legal firearms than those who have illegal firearms.
They have been on a campaign for the last 2-3 years in the post-Gary Griffith era. They have been on a campaign to attack legal persons who have legal firearms. They're on their campaign. Their campaign is really to remove firearms from the hands of innocent law-abiding citizens. And that has been the problem. That is why today I will speak in the next few days about the Coast Guard and their capacity, which has collapsed as well. So that we will not hold persons who are
You're breaking up a bit.
illegal weapons, so that the illegal weapons continue to come into this country, because in effect the Coast Guard has also collapsed.
Yeah. Let me ask you before you wrap up. You made it quite clear to the Rushton Parry team that the Star Slate will beat you 40-1. Pack up, licks guaranteed.
But we'll beat them by 10-1. That's the time.
But let me ask you, I mean, when all is said and done, there has to be some sort of unifying factor when the dust settles.
Of course. I mean, it's very clear. I mean, we are in a battle. We are in an internal election, and persons are very, within their rights to articulate their issues, their cause, and so on. And we will, as we continue to do. But at the end of the day, we are all in one party, the United National Congress, and I'm hoping that good sense will prevail.
All right. Any closing comments? Go right ahead, because I know you're tied up.
Comments is that we live in very difficult times, but also these are defining times in our history where we need to organize. I'm very, very bold and confident. This evening, as you know, we had the persons that they could multiple for what was really the launch of an internal slate. It was not even a national meeting. When you observe the people, you realize the state is highly,
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Moonilal.
Anything like that.
All right. Thanks a lot.